Welcome to TV on TV. I'm State Representative Tommy Vitolo. You're watching Brookline Interactive Group. Today is Thursday, May 12th. And we got a great show for you this week. We have David Gladstone coming on in just a few minutes. He's from Brookline Bank and also very active in Brookline's business community. He's going to tell us about what's been going on in those business communities, as well as some updates on the US Open and a few other issues kicking around town. I can't wait to talk with him, but first, as always, the news. April reports show inflation drove prices in the United States up 8.3% in the last year. Although inflation remains at a 40-year high, figures hint that the price growth may soon halt. Congress is poised to approve additional military and humanitarian aid for Ukraine in a $40 billion package. The proposal was approved by a 368 to 57 vote last Tuesday. A vote to codify abortion protections fell short in the United States Senate yesterday. Abortion rights are codified in Massachusetts, as was done 2 years ago when the legislature passed the Roe Act. The candidate who former Vice President Donald Trump endorsed in West Virginia, Alex Mooney, won the Republican House primary. However, Trump's other gubernatorial candidate in Nebraska, lost in the primary, handing Trump his first loss of the 2022 election season. The Federal Transit Administration will be conducting a safety management inspection on the Massachusetts Bay Transit Authority, the T, following a series of incidents that resulted in passenger fatalities and injuries. COVID-19 cases are on the rise again in Massachusetts, with the state reporting a 10% jump since last week. Thousands of pro-choice rally-goers are expected this Saturday at noon at the Boston Common. 3 Brookline students were chosen out of 15,000 finalists to receive National Merit Scholarships. Brookline is on the search for a new library director, as the current director, Sarah Slyman, will depart later this week after 8 years of service. And without further ado, we're going to roll right over to David Gladstone, a Brookline resident, a business development officer at Brookline Bank, and very active in supporting the business community. So stay tuned for the flip here on Brookline Interactive Group. And as I mentioned, our guest today is David Gladstone. He is a business development officer at Brookline Bank. He also handles all kinds of lending. David, thanks for coming on the show today.
Tommy, thank you for having me today.
As you know, we dive right in. We've got about 25 minutes and we want to make the best use of that time. And David, of course, what you know and our viewers don't know is how active you are in our commercial spaces, not just with Brookline Bank, but in a more general sense. But before we get to that, tell us what you've been doing your whole life. Tell us about your business bio.
Thank you, Tommy. So I'm a long-term resident of Brookline. I live in Precinct 16. I'm president of the chamber, as Tommy indicated. I'm a member also of the Small Business Development Committee in town. And I'm also a member of the CPC USGA Joint Action Committee with regards to the US Open. I'm a volunteer grant reviewer for the Mass Growth Capital Corporation. And oh yeah, in my full-time job, I'm a business banker. So I come at it a different way, Tommy, as you probably know. I also have a very strong retail experience. Back in the day, I worked for a lot of large retailers, Jordan Marsh, DSW, Sports Authority, Milton's, and I actually started in a small family business, my uncle's drugstore. So I've been in retail since I was 13, all the way up to the point of getting through college and then coming out and going into retail, and then ultimately going into banking, where I am now.
And in addition to all of that, you're very active with the chamber. Tell us a little about the chamber and your role in the chamber and sort of the chamber's recent activities.
Great. Yeah, the chamber actually has been in a great place. We were here during COVID. We were able to help a lot of businesses. We set up a lot of Zoom clinics, a lot of Zoom meetings about how to deal with not being able to open up your store, not being able to open up your restaurant. And from that, we were able to pivot the chamber ever so slightly, and we've headed into the realm of technical assistance. We found out that there wasn't enough technical assistance for small businesses directly in Brookline. So what we opted to do was to actually set up technical assistance, and we were able to set up restaurants for Brookline. We had 3 iterations of it, thankfully with state funding. We were also able to have a business boot camp on a grant that we got from Mass Growth Capital Corporation. And doing those things have sort of pivoted us more into a service realm. Normally, the chamber would do face-to-face events, membership, and we get our revenue from sponsorship. Now we're pivoting ever so slightly, and we're hoping to get some of our revenue from technical assistance so that we're a little more diversified and we're able to become a much better partner with the town of Brookline.
And of course, you mentioned it briefly, but it's a big deal over the next month or so. The US Open is coming to town. Tell us what that means for the town of Brookline and for the folks who live here, work here, do business here.
Yep. So 187,000 people are going to descend on the country club in Brookline. And it's a very exciting week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, there's a practice round. Thursday, Friday, there's tournament play. And then the field gets narrowed down Saturday, Sunday to the top 60 golfers, which is the most exciting time. And of course, those tickets are the most expensive. I've been involved with the CPC Joint Committee, as you stated, and we've been involved in a lot of pieces of the planning for the Open. Certainly the country club, the USGA, they've made a strong partnership with the town, with the DPW to figure out shuttles and traffic patterns and safety issues and security and all of those things. My role as part of the CPC has been to be the face of small business in Brookline and trying to create opportunities for small businesses. One of the examples of that opportunity was we had a restaurant showcase where we got 30 different businesses to be able to showcase their wares to the official caterer of the Open and to be able to have a tasting at the Puttingham Golf Course. And the caterer came with their staff, and there were judges, and they actually decided what dishes were good, what dishes they liked, and they had further discussion with them. And there's going to be some opportunities where the businesses are going to be at the country club. They're going to be doing some pop-ups. They're going to be supplying food to the country club. So that was a real boon for businesses. We also, as getting supported by the town and the USGA, we have a business open, which is running right now. Anyone in Brookline can go into the 35 participating businesses and get a game card. You can get the game card stamped. Once you get your game card stamped at 5 different businesses, there's no purchase necessary. You enter to win some fabulous prizes: US Open tickets, a night stay in a hotel, a custom puzzle from Eureka, and some books from the Booksmith. In addition, we're having an Arnold Palmer drink contest. Nick from the Paris Creperie is spearheading that. And we're going to get a whole bunch of restaurants involved, coming up with their own concoction of what the best Arnold Palmer drink combination is. And then we're going to highlight that via social media. People will be able to go to those restaurants and taste the actual drinks and have fun during the Open. So it's a very exciting time with regards to what's going on in Brookline. In addition, we've worked with DPW. We're having some signs put up on Route 9 and on Beacon Street, which will say Brookline, Massachusetts, established during this date, home of the USGA Open 2022. So it's swagger rights for the town. It's a very exciting thing. It doesn't come here too many times, and it's just a wonderful opportunity to float all the business boats in Brookline to be able to benefit from this influx of activity and traffic. Even before the Open, I mean, there's a lot of preparation that's going on now with them putting up tents and building structures and just setting things up so that by the time the Open launches, it's going to be a beautiful event. In addition, some of the exciting things that have happened as a result of having the Open here is that the USGA, the country club, and the town were able to actually do a cooperative thing, and the USGA planted up to 100 trees, which is going to be a legacy of the Open. In addition, they've committed to actually restoring a walking path in Brookline, where the public is going to be able to enjoy that after the Open, during the Open, and again, it'll be another legacy item. The USGA is also committed to certain standards with regards to sustainability. There's going to be a press conference. There's going to be a press release happening in the next week or so, talking about all of those measures as well.
So there are a lot of people in Brookline who, golf isn't really their thing, or certainly watching golf isn't their thing. And they're thinking like, okay, so the US Open comes for a week in mid-June, and that comes with sort of the pressures of tourism. What's in it for me? To belabor the point, what kind of impact will this have on the small businesses in Washington Square and Brookline Village and Coolidge Corner and Putterham Circle and St. Mary's? Is that a significant thing for them in light of the low traffic and revenue they've faced over the past few years?
I would answer a resounding yes. First of all, people coming to the Open have to stay someplace. A lot of our hotels are getting booked up, not only during the Open week, but before and after. There's a lot of exciting things happening with the hotels. There's restaurants that are there. Certainly, we have restaurants in our business districts, the Village, Washington Square, Coolidge Corner, Longwood, Putterham, and those will all benefit from people coming in and having to have dinner, having to have breakfast before they go to the Open, and then dinner after the Open is done at 7 o'clock at night. So certainly there'll be opportunities for restaurants. While people are out in the restaurants, we're hoping that the people will take walks in the business districts and stop in Eureka, stop in the Booksmith, stop in Top Draw, and stop into a lot of our retailers and service owners, businesses, to be able to help them with their business as well during the Open.
I want to ask you, folks, individual experiences vary, and I think people aren't especially good at this, but it does seem like there are a lot of empty storefronts right now. One, is that actually true compared to historical time? And two, what do we make of it?
Unfortunately, you're totally correct in what you're assessing there, Tommy. This is the highest amount of empty storefronts that we have ever seen. And Coolidge Corner is number one. The Village is number two. Longwood is probably number three, and Washington Square is number four. And I think there's one empty storefront in Putterham right now, but that's due to a fire, and they're going to rebuild and come back in. So the big challenge is, what is the right mix of businesses, and how can we encourage landlords to find those right mixes and to be able to bring in people? They're going to create excitement and going to be able to create foot traffic to the business districts. And interestingly enough, I'll bring up one example, Tommy. The Brookline Booksmith, their secret sauce, they don't advertise. They don't need to advertise. They're on NPR. People know them, word of mouth, and people come to the Booksmith and they buy books from the Booksmith when they could go to Amazon, they could go to a digital platform, but they choose to physically patronize the Booksmith. And why is that? Because the Booksmith is local. They've been here a very long time. They give great service, and it means something to be able to patronize locally in your hometown, to be able to help a family-owned business. And the Booksmith, like many other of us small businesses, are family-owned. As you know, we don't have a lot of big boxes. We don't have a lot of chain stores. And at the end of the day, we want to maintain that flavor of making the business districts a great place to shop, a great place to eat. And it sort of contributes to the fabric of Brookline, that it makes it a great place to live.
So what, look, the town can't control national inflation rates, and the town, can't control a variety of economic factors. But the town has some ability to turn the knobs. What what would you suggest that the town government be doing to help ensure that these storefronts are rented out again with preferably businesses that directly benefit the people who live in our town? What should town government be doing?
That's a great question. I think that we're very lucky that we have a great economic development department. We have two co-chairs, Paul Sainer and Ann Myers, who help to really drive the activity down to the business district level. We now have Meredith Mooney. Congratulations, Meredith, a newly installed economic development director. And we have a small business development committee. In addition, we have a committee in Coolidge Corner, JFK, where we're looking at the potential of doing a business improvement district. You call it a bid for short. And we're at the stage now where a small amount of funds are being delegated to that to be able to do some studies. There have been some questionnaires and studies done in advance. We linked on with the state. There were 125 municipalities who participated in this during COVID. And we're trying to find some common denominators of how do we bring businesses back even stronger as a result of the pummeling that they took during COVID. And one of those ideas is a business improvement district. Another one of those ideas is a parking's benefit district, which had been passed down in the village. It just needs to get active. It hasn't really formed and done anything yet, but we're very excited about that. And then to answer your question, the town had some discretion with the ARPA funds to decide. And interestingly enough, Tommy, the town, as you know, got $46 million worth of ARPA funds, of which they're opting to be able to spend 23 million right now over the next 6 months to a year. And of that, Tommy, if you can believe it, there was a request for $130 million worth of asks from the town and from the business community, from nonprofits, from food pantries to the teen center. It was wonderful to see everyone coming out with a lot of great ideas of like, how should we spend that money? What is the best bang for our buck on how we can improve Brookline, not only for businesses, but for nonprofits and the residents? And, you know, how can we impact affordable housing? How can we impact people who are food needy? I mean, it was a great opportunity, and the town actually got the community foundation involved. They were able to do a review of the non-town departments of what the asks were. The town departments had presentation of budgets to Melissa Goff and other people within the town. And in the end, they ultimately came up with a list of things they feel that they're going to fund. And thankfully, economic development is getting a bunch of things funded. One of them is a study of the Center Street parking lot, to be able to see if we can do some type of a garage there, to be able to maybe modify the Harvard Street, to be able to take away some of the parking and make it more walkable for patrons, pedestrians. The other thing, the chamber, thankfully, we asked for 4 things. We're getting 2 things. We're going to do a repeat of Restaurants for Brookline, and we're also going to be doing a restaurant resiliency program. One of the things I didn't mention before is the chamber also did a business boot camp where we got funding from the Mass Growth Capital Corporation. And we actually got professors from Boston University and Boston College, and we covered everything soup to nuts of what it takes to be able to run a business in this day and age without it just being a brick and mortar, a digital presence on the internet. How do you do branding? How do you do communication? How do you have cybersecurity? How can you get your message out so that you're competing with the Amazons of the world? So the town is doing a lot of things. They had town halls during COVID, and we actually came up with a procedure on outside dining. So there was a lot of things that the town did that I don't think everyone realizes, with the help of a lot of volunteers. And I know you were heavily involved with that. I know I was heavily involved with it. The Coolidge Corner Merchants Association, the Brookline Village Business Association, the Chamber, and many others. And I think that we all came together and saw that the common foe was COVID. And I think that we've battled it, and we're hoping that it's going to get further in our rearview mirror, and that businesses are going to be able to come back in a much stronger way than they were able to deal with this during COVID.
Well, and I will tell you, as a bicyclist and a sidewalks guy, one thing that Brookline and other communities as well sort of figured out is, hey, people like to hang out outside in commercial areas, at restaurants and also at the parklets, which are those miniature parks not associated with a particular restaurant, just little parks. And I was happy to secure an earmark for Brookline to do some more parklets in this coming year, right? The second half of the summer and into it. And I think those help anytime when we have people hanging out and enjoying themselves. I think it adds activity. Yesterday, I was having coffee down at St. Mary's Street outside at the Busy Bee. And I was with one person, and then a second person came by. Actually, it was David Lashinsky from Eureka Puzzles. He pulled up a chair. Then Jim Lockwood from Lockwood Construction, he pulled up a chair, and we were passing ideas around, and just adds to that vitality and makes people want to spend time in places where it turns out they might also spend some money and also build community. And so I think it's great. I think that I'm hopeful that the town government and the residents and the businesses find ways to make the commercial centers modern day parks of sorts, in the same way that we use the Minot Rose Garden as a park. It's a meeting place. It's a place where people make connections, and it's a place where people want to be. And I think if the commercial districts continue in that direction, I think that'll also help. But at the end of the day, businesses need to be able to unload their goods into the stores. They need to be able to hire people, right? They need customers who want to come and purchase the goods or services that they're selling. It's not enough just to have a nice outdoor space. There's lots of other needs as well that I know the town tries to balance and works hard at, but obviously more involvement and more participation designed to be positive and helpful can certainly go a long way. What else is coming up? We've got the Open, which is 5 weeks from now, mid-June. What else should we expect in our commercial districts coming up later this year?
Well, we spoke about, we actually spoke about what's going on with the Business Open. We spoke about the Arnold Palmer drink contest. One of the more exciting things that's going to be happening this year, Tommy, is that for the first time ever, Brookline Day is coming to Coolidge Corner. The Small Business Committee, the Coolidge Corner Merchants Association said, look, at the businesses have been decimated by what happened with COVID. We think it would be a great thing if you could bring the celebration of Brookline Day out of Los Anderson Park and have it in the business district. So not only can we celebrate Brookline, but we can celebrate the businesses of Brookline as well. And there's a planning committee. It's very exciting what's going to happen with that. It's going to be ever so slightly a little bit different than it was at Laws. However, we're still going to have events for the kids. We're still going to have tables. We're going to have food. We're going to have excitement, and we're going to have the energy of the business district that's going to help drive that. In addition, the chamber's looking at Oktoberfest. We're going to have a great event in October on Oktoberfest. And then one of our more famous events that Brookline started and that was run by some individuals in Coolidge Corner, and then they gave it to the chamber to run, is First Light. We're planning to go full speed ahead with First Light this year. We had a digital offering last year, and we're going to try to do a hybrid of being able to do both. So there's a lot of exciting things that are happening, and certainly with some of the ARPA dollars, there's going to be some money deployed to be able to help the arts. I know that Erin Ballantyne from the DPW has plans to be able to try to get businesses involved with having to help decorate the outside planters with flowers to beautify that. And hopefully, as we roll towards a bid, we're going to be able to do hardscape and softscape embellishments to be able to make it that much more exciting for people to come and enjoy what Brookline has to offer.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think that the more we get out there and run into each other and spend some time in those business districts, the better we'll be as a community, the stronger we'll be. David, we didn't even get a chance. We've got a few minutes left. We didn't get a chance to talk about your work on green initiatives. And, I'm not going to let that go without mentioning it. Tell us a little bit about some of the things you've been thinking about or working on to help businesses make more environmentally sustainable decisions.
Yep. So I actually was one of the founding members of Climate is Everyone's Business in Brookline. We actually took the idea of engaging small businesses of things they could do which was sustainable and green in their corner of the world, which is in their business. And they could do like basically have someone come in to do an energy audit. They could actually buy energy at a discounted price. They're able to, and we were able to offer, with your help, Tommy, matter of fact, an actual seminar on doing all of these things. We had a fabulous showing when we did do it before COVID. We had 54 participants, 39 different business organizations. And thankfully you came and spoke about the importance of going green, about having sustainable practices, that we don't want our kids to inherit this earth in a lesser manner than we're going to leave it to them and that we're enjoying right now. So I've been involved with that. I was on the select board for climate action. It recently changed that we now have a zero emissions committee, and they are pursuing things as they see fit with regards to zero emissions. The town hired finally a sustainability coordinator, Tom Barrasso, and we're all very excited. I mean, CAB is engaged, Mothers Out Front is engaged, and there's a lot of different groups that are very motivated to be able to make the positive changes necessary in Brookline so that we can head into, 10, 20 years from now and be able to have more electric vehicles, less emissions, more efficient dwellings and businesses, so that we're actually diminishing our emissions, not increasing them.
David, I'm so glad you were able to come on Brookline Interactive Group today. You're so dynamic. You've got so much going on, and there's no question that our town is better off for all of the work that you do. So thank you for all of that work. Thank you for coming on the show. Excited about the US Open, excited about what lies in stores for our businesses up ahead. And again, thanks for coming on.
Yep. Tommy, I want to say one last thing about if you happen to be traveling out to Logan Airport and you're in Terminal C, take a look at the wall. You'll be mildly surprised. I don't know if you've seen this, but it talks about the Brookline Chamber of Commerce and come and visit Brookline and look at all of our small businesses. A very exciting thing that we were able to do through the state. And it's just another example of what we're trying to do in Brookline with your support.
Yeah, and
Thank
we're trying to help out on the committee for tourism, arts, and cultural development on which I serve. Folks, you've been watching Brookline Interactive Group. I'm State Representative Tommy Vitolo signing off. We'll see you next week.